Hello from Intellipaat, guys. Today we are going to be discussing how to become an ethical hacker. But before we actually begin with this, make sure you're subscribed to the Intellipaat channel and you've actually clicked on the bell notification icon so you don't miss out on any updates from us. So, firstly, let us discuss the agenda for today. So before we actually get into how to make a career in ethical hacking, we need to understand what ethical hacking is. So we're going to go over that. And secondly, we're going to understand the key skills that are required in this career domain in case you want to go ahead in it. And then we're going to be discussing the CEH certification, which is the Certified Ethical Hacker Certification. So, in order to get ahead in this particular domain, this is one of the certifications that you may need. And then we're going to be talking about the income of a certified ethical hacker after you've attained the CEH certification. And then we're going to discuss how you can get started with all of this. So, firstly, let us talk about ethical hacking. Let's understand what hacking is. So, obviously, there are two separate factors when it comes to this particular career domain. One is simply hacking, and the other is ethical hacking. So, hacking as a concept is defined as gaining unauthorized access to a computer system or a network. So, basically, by gaining access to any of these things by non traditional means. So let us understand what that actually means. Suppose you're a hacker and there is a target system that you're obviously targeting. And in modern cases, there will usually be a security measure or measures put in place between you and the target system. So you have two ways to go about it. Either you can bypass those security measures if you know the method to, or you can simply crack those security measures. So this is what a hacker does essentially. He gets access to these unauthorized places. So this is obviously a liability, and we're going to demonstrate that by giving you an example, which is the Shamoon Cyberattack. So in 2012, there was a computer virus that affected Windows NET 32-bit systems, and this was in operation in basically Saudi Arabia, and the petroleum companies in Saudi Arabia, they used these operating systems in their workstations. So, a group named the Cutting Sword of Justice claimed responsibility for an attack on these systems. What happened was about 35,000 Saudi Aramco systems. Now, Saudi Aramco is a petroleum company in Saudi Arabia. These workstations were affected, and it took about a week or more than a week to restore the services of these workstations. So you can imagine that the petroleum business was halted in Saudi Arabia until these systems were fixed or resolved. So you can imagine how big of a loss that can make in companies such as this. So basically, this was termed as the biggest hack in history because of the amount of commercial loss that it caused and the amount of systems that were affected in unison when this hack was launched. So we can see that if hacking is not dealt with, it can lead to a lot of problems and liabilities. So let's talk about the different type of hackers, because obviously the people who perpetrated the Shamoon cyber attack were not the legitimate hackers. So these hackers are called the black hat hackers. These hackers hack into systems illegally and they have malicious intent, which means that they mean no good. So basically, that means that these hackers may be hacking into your system to gain your information, to destroy your business practices, to disrupt your cash flow, or to gain access to your private information and leak it online. So everything bad, essentially summed up, is a black hat hacker using his hacking skills for bad. And then the polar opposite of that is the white hat hacker. Now, this hacker actually works with organizations with their permission to hack into their systems and actually tell the organizations how they were able to hack into those systems or via other means as well. So basically, the job of a white hat hacker is to counteract what a black hat hacker can do. And finally, we have the gray hat hacker. Now, obviously, as the name suggests, This is a middle ground between the white hat hacker and the black hat hacker. Now, a gray hat hacker might not necessarily have malicious intent, but a gray hat hacker does not, in all probable cases, he does not take permission from the organization that he's trying to hack. So there are legal liabilities for each of these professions if you choose. So obviously, the black hat hacker is a no-no. It's an absolutely illegal profession. The white hat hacker, on the other hand, is completely legal because you can essentially get hired by an organization to hack that organization. And as long as you abide by their rules, you're in the completely legal territory. And as far as the gray hat hacker goes, this is a gray area, obviously. Now, if you're hacking into an organization without their permission, you're obviously susceptible to legal liabilities. So it's generally not recommended to be a gray hat hacker unless you are going for particular tasks that don't make you legally liable. So, what is ethical hacking? Obviously, we can relate white hat hacking to ethical hacking. So, essentially, it is the authorized and legal process of finding out vulnerabilities, threats, and exploits in a system or computer network through penetration testing. So, if I were to diagrammatically represent this, it would seem something like this. A white hat hacker hacks into the target system with permission of the owner of the target system, which will be your employer in all cases. And then once the white hat hacker is successfully able to hack into that system, whatever information he gathers regarding that system's flaws and vulnerabilities and wherever the hacker can exploit and get into that system. All of that information he will basically sum up and document, and then he'll send that document to his employer. Now, the employer can patch it up with the help of a security team so that no hacker with an actual malicious intent can hack into their systems because the white hat hacker will be one step ahead of any hacker with malicious intent, and he'll get everything patched up before the black hat hacker can actually attack the system. So that is the point of ethical hacking in general. So, why do organizations need ethical hackers? If the answer to that question is not obvious by now, uh, hiring ethical hackers can save millions, if not billions, of dollars for these organizations, especially when you're talking about such organizations like Google or Amazon. So they deal with the millions and billions of dollars every day almost. So if a hacker is able to get into that workflow, he can easily embezzle that money or do something wrong with it that can make the company liable to a lawsuit or something. So you can imagine why organizations are on the lookout for talented ethical hackers. So these ethical hackers can keep these businesses securely afloat with the user privacy of these businesses under complete lockdown. Because as you know, in organizations like Amazon and Facebook and Google, your private information is extremely valuable, right? And if somebody gets access to that information, it might be detrimental for you. So that is why it is important for organizations or companies to hire these ethical hackers so these security flaws do not exist anymore. So, what do you need to learn if you want to prosper in this particular field? We know the importance of ethical hacking now. We know that organizations from small to big are looking for individuals who are talented in this domain. So, what do you need to learn for this? So, if you want to progress with this particular domain, there are three key fundamental skills that will always help you as you progress. So, the first is the knowledge about operating systems. So this essentially means that in modern day hacking, you're usually hacking into a network. So this could be a LAN network, this could be a LAN and Wi-Fi combined network. And the devices that would be basically arranged in this network would be of different operating systems. So one could be Windows and the other could be Linux. And we can say the same for Mac OS, iOS, and Android. So these are the wide range of devices that you may get. on a network. So you need to be able to navigate around these operating systems fairly well. You should know how the command line in these operating systems work if you want to be able to hack into those devices. So a sound knowledge of that will obviously take you a lot of ahead in this particular domain. And then definitely you should know scripting. So you should know database scripting, and you should know a normal programming language like JavaScript or C or Python or any language that you're comfortable with, and a language that is sort of generally suited for this sort of thing. So a database language like SQL, you should be familiar with that because you're going to be dealing with databases as well, and a scripting language. So we're able to write hacking scripts in advance and be able to basically run it onto the target system. So that knowledge obviously helps. And then finally, networking. Now, this is a very important aspect of ethical hacking. You need to know your way around various networking terminologies, the practical working of how computer networks essentially work, like WAN, LAN, WLAN, all of these technologies, and different networking devices like routers, Wi-Fi extenders, and how subnetting works and everything. You need to be able to understand all of that in order to navigate your way around the network onto the devices that are present onto the network. Now, keep in mind, if you want to progress further and get higher posts in the cybersecurity domain, you need to have extensive knowledge about these topics. It's absolutely necessary that you do. So let us talk about the certified ethical hackers certification. Now, in order to prove that you have the fundamental basis of these skills so that you can get started with your career, a certification will definitely help. And basically, this is the way that you can get a job as an ethical hacker if you're just starting out with this profession. So you may be extremely skilled, you may be an amateur in this particular domain. Either way, if you don't have the experience for it that you can show on a piece of paper to your potential employer, the best way to be eligible for an EH job profile is to get an industry accepted certification. Basically, a certification that is accepted across the industry. So, a certification basically assures the employer that you already have been tested as a candidate, and the employer does not have to invest a lot of time and money in training and basically preparing you for the job. So the best way to go about this would be the CH certification. And let's talk about the endorsements. There are many. So we can see that it is trusted by Fortune 500 companies. We can see Xerox, AT&T, Cisco, eBay, Citibank, Ford, HP, IBM, Microsoft, Principal. A lot of companies that you might be familiar with, and a lot of government organizations as well, especially in the United States. We can see the American National Standards Institute. We have the United States Navy, the Marine Corps. We have Army. We have Air Force. We have the Department of Defense. So we can see that organizations that deal with international espionage on a day-to-day basis are endorsing this particular certification. We can understand the value of it with the right kind of candidate, how valuable a particular ethical hacker can be once he has this particular certification. So let's talk about the job roles that are possible after attaining this certification. So the two of the basic job roles would be the cybersecurity analyst and the security engineer. So the cybersecurity analyst basically assesses the security vulnerabilities of a system. He basically maintains track of all of these things, while a security engineer is usually an engineer, a software engineer who is involved in a software development life cycle where he is basically implementing security features into the application that is being developed. And finally, we have the penetration tester. Now, this is the sort of hacker that comes in the post category where the software has been developed already, and now the testing phase has to begin, basically where they have to test all of the security flaws. So the penetration tester will try to hack into the system with all possible means, and then he will generate a report as to what security flaws this particular application has. So, what is the CEH certification? Let's talk about the technicalities. CEH certification is an industry accepted accolade by the EC Council, obtained by demonstrating knowledge of key hacking skills to assess security and vulnerabilities in a target system in a lawful and legitimate manner. So, obviously, since the certification is for ethical hacking, the obvious draw point is that all of this is happening under an ethical environment in a lawful and legitimate manner. So that is why this is industry accepted as well, because it's completely legitimate. And what does this actually certify? Once you gain the CEH certification as a career stone in your career in ethical hacking, what does it actually certify? So it certifies that the candidate who has attained this certification knows how to approach the target with a mindset of a skilled hacker. So you need to have a mindset of a skilled hacker. That is something that can be proved if you've passed this certification exam, and then the candidate knows how to detect vulnerabilities in the target system, and the candidate is proficient at utilizing all the hacking related tools in the exam syllabus. So the exam syllabus contains an extensive amount of tools that you're going to be using in your training for this particular exam. And this basically assures the employer that you're familiar and proficient with all of these tools, so that you can be hired as a skilled hacker. So let's talk about the minimum qualifications that are required for this exam. So there are essentially two options with regards to minimum qualifications. The first is with training. Now, with training means that if a candidate has completed an official EC Council training, either at an accredited training center via the iClass platform, or at an approved academic institution, the candidate is eligible to attempt the relevant EC Council exam. So you have two ways in which you can train for this exam. The first is the official EC Council training. The second is going through an accredited training center. So Intellipaat is an accredited training center, and we will be discussing the specifics of that as we move ahead with this particular session, as to how you can go about that option. The second option, which might not be favorable for a lot of people, is that if you are not coming from a completely new background, where you have 2 years of experience in the information security domain. So the second way you would be eligible to appear for this exam is that you have 2 years of experience in the information security domain, and you need to have proof for that. You need to have an experience letter to prove to the EC Council that you're actually eligible for this exam without any prior training. So these are the two options in which by which you can give this particular exam and attain this certification once you've passed it. So let us talk about the average income of a certified ethical hacker. So basically, the income of a hacker who has passed the CEH exam and has basically been appointed by a company which needs a certified ethical hacker. So the salary in the United States is about $75,000. In India, it's about 7 lakhs per annum, and in the UK, it's about 46,000 pounds. Now, keep in mind that this is not the starting salary of an ethical hacker, and this is not the end salary as well. So, as we discussed earlier on, there were some skills that we were discussing in this particular domain. So, once you start honing and enhancing those skills as you move further in this particular domain, the salary only increases as compared to this. right? So this is only the average income of a certified ethical hacker, and it is pretty good as an average income. It gives a good idea of the market that is there for this particular job role. So how do you get started? So, getting back to what we previously discussed about the option one to be eligible to appear for the CEH exam. So, what we were discussing about earlier on is that if you take a training via an official EC Council accredited training center, you would be eligible to give the exam. This is to inform you that Intellipaat is an official EC Council partner with regards to this particular exam. And to understand more, now, firstly, I would recommend you guys to sign up for the Intellipaat webinar. Now, the link to sign up for this webinar is in the description of this video and in the YouTube chat box. So make sure you click on that link and register for these webinars, the upcoming webinars, and keep in touch with what webinars we are doing and register for the ones you're interested in or register for the ones you're not interested in as well to basically get an idea of the subject topic that is going to be discussed. So the advantage of these webinars is that you can ask us live doubts from our course advisors related to the course topic and subjects. So it's highly recommended that you do that. And if you want to look over our course that we provide for a certified ethical hacker, you can simply go to the Intellipaat website at www.intellipaat.com and type in CEH in the search box, and you'll get your results. You can look into that. And finally, you can contact our course advisors using the following contact details. They are available 24/7 to resolve all of your doubts, not just for the ethical hacking course, for all of our courses. So, hope you had a wonderful session with Intellipaat. Be sure to sign up for the webinar to attend the session that is going to be held afterward this live regarding the course and everything. So, make sure you sign up for that. So, that is about it from Intellipaat. Hope you have a wonderful day or evening ahead of you. Thank you and goodbye.